consider yourself one of the greatest musicians and entertainers in reggae history?
Yes, all around.
And why?
Because I am the only artist that can say I was in there for the arrangement, the writing, and apart from that, the harmony singing, you know, back in Studio One where we're talking about right now, you know, and about 60 to 70% of the bass lines and arrangement, not just for myself, but for all or most of the artists that were in Studio One. So there's no single individual that can make this claim. If you're a horn blower, then that's what you did. If you're a keyboard, if you're not saying, you understand where I'm coming from. I did all of that. All of that is contributed individually through me individually, you know. The playing, the harmonies, the bass playing, the singing, the harmonies for the studio. Even I was the one even on Sundays who took the auditioning new artists for the studio. So I'm the complete musician that Jamaica have ever had.
Only person, you can correct me if I'm wrong, only person I know that has the skill level of you outside of performance is like a Jackie Matu, right?
Yeah, but Jackie Matu was just arranger and player. You see? Right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You know, you cannot make claim for the singing, harmonies, and other stuff that I did. You know what I mean?
Why do you think that like they don't put you in the history more than they should?
Because I was in the history less in the sense of recognition. The studio, back then they didn't recognize the musicians or people who were doing the stuff. You know, all they did, the most they would say is, they call the band a name, and that's it. They weren't specializing, you know, putting out on individual stuff. Yeah, who did this or doing that, or, you know what I mean? So no one knew. It's lately now we have to becoming, through interviews, stuff like what you're doing, that the real truth is getting out there. It's a story like Motown and the musicians of Motown. Same thing. And I was always in love with soul music back then, the groups, you know, and back then was a lot of groups.
Was Impressions your greatest inspiration
back then? They were one of them.
When I talk to the reggae artists, why is it everyone keeps saying Impressions?
Because Curtis is one of the greatest guys in the world. Even today you listen to Curtis, man. And he's the one who started. He's the pioneer in group and harmony settings. You know? So you got to refer to Curtis. He's the daddy of putting a group together and singing so beautifully. You know what I mean?
Other groups gave you that inspiration, they gave you that vibe.
Yeah, well...
Or solo singers also.
Well, most group back then, you know, there's no reason to point in one group out or another. All the group back then were still, I think, coming off and even if there were even solo singers, they had backup singers singing around them. So this is what make it, you know, that interesting. The harmonies around the lead, you know, and that's how we ended up there too, because we were listening.
Originally at the Heptones, were you just dealing with melody or you were dealing with musical instruments at that time?
Oh, well, the first thing I did before I started, when I left school, you know, I did arc welding, right? While I was doing that, first instrument, I bought an instrument, an acoustic guitar, and learned to play that.
What was the learning? Did someone help you with the learning? Or was more
oh yes, oh yeah. There was a Rastaman who was instrumental in that, called Huntley, you know, and he started me from the do re mi from the basic, you know, and other guys were there, but I was so eager to learn that I surpassed them, you know, and I developed more when I went to Studio One where the real musicians were, you know.
So when you got to Studio One, were you just a guitar, you were able to play the guitar, or were you able to play the bass at the same time?
No, I wasn't playing bass yet. I didn't even know nothing about bass playing. I wasn't thinking about playing the bass. The bass playing was introduced to me by Jackie Matu. You know, he had a trio, you know, or he wanted to put a trio together to do some work on the weekends in a club. So he himself was there. He had a drummer, but he needed a bass man. And he just figured that I could do it, you know. Jack is very talented and he knows talent, you know, he can see talent, you know. He's the one who, when a guy comes in with a song, he sees all the music around it, which I developed too after a while. I was like that. I was very talented when I was a kid too, multi-talented, you know?
All right. Going back to the guitar now, right?
Yes.
Because you were able to make music, make melodies.
Yeah. That's how the Eptone songs, yeah. That's how that helped me to write these kind of songs that the Eptones did, which were different from most other Jamaicans writing back then. Or their musical progression was totally different from mine, because mine had chords that they wouldn't even go to, because their music ability was limited, you know. So they were like a 2-chord thing or a 3-chord thing, when I was branching on some minors and some stuff and coming back to majors. And you know, if you listen to the Eptone songs, they're always, and maybe that's what made the Eptone so different. So because I was not involved in a lot of my personal musical in the studio arrangement. I gave them the chord progression, you know, and the arrangement of the song itself, and the harmonies were all created by me. Every and O that those guys sang were pre-arranged. When they came in at night, they would come to a new song or 2 new songs, which were already arranged all day, because I would stop, I would leave my welding thing. I was totally into music because I loved it so much. So, you know, even my mom and I even kick off on that, you know. Because first guitar, she saw the guitar, she said, you need pants, you need shoes, you need this and that. You wear a guitar, you can't play guitar. But I said, I'm going to play that, you know. Oh, yeah, so.
With the Heptones on top, right? Considered one of the greatest albums
yes.
of all time. And we're going to get to another part when you're at Elite Art. But during that time you were making the album, right? Were you more pulling inspiration from the Americans, or were you just vibing, saying we want to do something different? How did you put that?
I was always someone who wanted to create within music, to come with something new. Even in bass lines, you know, I created a new style, like on Sata Masagana and some other songs. It was like an after the beat thing, you know, because people would say 1, 2, 3, 4, and people would come on the beat, you know, or even before the beat. But not a lot of people came after the beat of the music. So I said, well, I'm going to try that, you know, and come with a new. I was always trying to invent a new thing, and it worked, you know. And there's a lot of lines, pseudo one lines that came like that after the one, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Pudug pudung, pudug pudung. After the beat, here, beat here. Pudug yojung. And a lot of another line that tells the same story was like. You know, the different lines, you know. Yeah, man.
When you first did that, were people accepting it, or it was kind of weird?
It was pure hits, pure hits after hits after it. Sata Mascana is one of the biggest, you know that. One of the biggest lines, yeah, in the history of the thing, you know. And there's a whole lot of other lines that came just like that, you know. What's his name? This guy.
Full up rhythm and all that, right?
No, too good. One, to be jung, to be dung, dung, to be do. Boo be jing, you see? After the line, yeah, after the beat. Boo boo jung, tiggy jing, jing, tiggy dip. Boo be jing, you know? Yeah, so there's a lot of lines that I created like that, and they were all its songs, you know?
All right. When you got to Studio One, right? How did you progress so quick to get so many different roles at the studio?
They just some of my talent, and Coxon wasn't a guy to hold you back. You know, if you see that you have the ability to go, he doesn't leave the place up, because he's the one in the end who's going to be financially, you know, embarrassed on that.
We know the money side. We know that side.
Yes.
In regards to Diplomat and utilizing people's talent to the benefit,
he was the best. He was the best. Yeah, because as a person, he acted like a normal guy, you know. It was nice to talk to, to run jokes and all that. But on the business side, you know, he was a businessman, I guess. Yeah.
All right. So when you started acquiring those talents, what are some of the artists that you gave the okay to that came through Studio One?
Burning Spear for one, because I was the one who was there with him I played on that album too, the Burning,
Relation Rebel?
the one, yeah, Door Peep Shall Not Enter. Yeah, so the one, all of that, you know. I played on every track on that one. I played on every track of Dennis Brown, No Man is an Island album. All of those tracks are mine. John Holt album, all of that album with Rob and Cheat You, you know, the best studio one. Them. Yeah, Alton. It's all me. You see what I'm telling you? That's where I'm at. Because thing that had left, Jackie played on some of those songs too, but he left after a while, and it was all in my lap.
All right. How many years were you at Studio One?
I think about 6, 7.
All right, 6, 7. I just want to just go through the list though, not just the albums, but the artists that saw the talent.
Yeah, people like the Cables, you know, the Mad Lads, and these are songs that we play. When you call these names, I play those music too. Cause when I hear good music, I'm eager to go play it.
So
you
what
know?
kind of world are we living in?
Yes, yeah. And on the other side of the Cable is what was it? I can't remember that. But the Cables, Colonel Campbell, Queen of the Minstrel, Stars, all them big tunes. You know, yeah. You know. The Abyssinians, that came to me because we were tight off the record, you know. We were tight. We with Carlton and the Shoe, you know, we were all like tight. So when they wanted to do them songs, you know, they checked me, you know. They didn't go to Coxsone. Actually, the Sata Masagana, Declaration of Rights, I play all of them things. The bad bass line, them, you know that. They actually, for those songs, they actually rented the studio, you know?
Oh, rented from Coxsone.
Yes, to do their own thing.
Carlton Hines, real quick, he was more rock steady love songs, right?
Carlton.
Yeah, when did they rush up and change their thing and go to more social songs, the Abyssinians?
No, they were always socialites, you know. Yeah, always. But, you know, every now and again, more time is a love song that hits, you know.
So that's just commercial. It's not really. It's just
yeah. Because if you ever get a Carlton album, Carlton and the Shoe, get the album and listen it. A lot of social work, great works too. I even sing harmonies and some of those songs too.
But Sata Masagana story real quick.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they came to me and we went in the studio, you know, sang the song, and I heard a beautiful song, sounded African to me too, that I feel. So I came up with that horn section, them horns. Yeah, man, was totally fitting, you know. Yeah, I hear the East, you know. So I said, the East, you know what I mean? Yeah. Perfectly right, and that bass line now is Naya Bingi, you know. Kicho kitchen, kitchen, kitchen. Yeah. It's Naya Bingi, it's Rasta, you know. Yeah, repatriative music. Hit.